Dear students, today we will be studying History Chapter 6, Janpads and New Kingdoms. Janpads. In the last chapter, we had learned how tribes began to form. People started to live in tribes called Janas. Each tribe had a leader or a ruler called the Rajan. As the population increased, tribes became larger. A group of tribes were known as a village, known as a grama. Soon the grammars became large territories, thereby giving the Rajans more and more power. These large territories came to be known as Janpads. In the early Vedic period, the Rajan was chosen by the Janas. However, in the later Vedic period, powerful men established their own supremacy, declaring themselves to be the Rajans of the Janpads. Some sites from the periods excavated by the archaeologists include the Purana Killa in New Delhi, Hastinapur near Meerut. Archaeologists have excavated these cities and have found that people lived in huts and took up farming and domestication of animals as occupation. A number of earthen pots have been uncovered in these sites. Ashwamedh Yagna. At times, a Rajan would perform the Ashwamedh Yagna or horse sacrifice to prove his supremacy over other rulers. In the rituals, a horse belonging to the ruler would be let loose to go into the neighboring kingdom. If the neighboring ruler stopped the horse, they had to fight the king who owned the horse. However, if the horse was allowed to roam freely, it signified that the ruler accepted the supremacy of the king who was performing the Ashwamedh Yagna. The Yagna was performed by specially trained priests in front of a large gathering. This includes all the rulers who accepted the king's supremacy, well as the people of his kingdom. The horse would then be guided back to the kingdom from where it came and sacrificed. After the sacrifice, the king was declared supreme, and all the rulers who attended the yagna could give gifts to the king. This is a picture of the Ashwamedh Yagna. Now, Varnas. By the time the Varna system had become extremely rigid, while the two upper classes, the Brahman and the Kshatriyas, enjoyed power and status, the two lower castes, the Vaishyas and the Shudras, were exploited by the upper classes. The Shudras found the lowest position in the social hierarchy. They, along with landless peasants, had no rights and were treated as slaves. They were expected to serve the upper caste, and because the Varna system was hereditary, from these castes were typically born into oppression. This made the lower caste feel like they were inferior in society. The people saw a fast change in the ideas and thoughts by this time. A large number of people were opposed to the rigid turn that religion had taken. Mahajanpads. Soon Mahajanpads became bigger and more powerful. They evolved into Mahajanpads, which were powerful kingdoms. Most of these were located in the Gangetic Plain. They had capital cities and were fortified. Forts were built to safeguard the kingdoms from attacks. Buildings' walls required thousands of bricks as well as workers. This meant that the kingdoms were not only large but wealthy. 16 kingdoms rose during the Vedic period. The 16 Mahajanpads were described in the Vedas and in other ancient literature. They were Anga, that is in Bihar, Asaka in Maharashtra, Avanti in Madhya Pradesh, etc. Other cities like Tamralipti, Shravasti, and Brigukacha gained importance because of their presence on the trade routes. The Mahajanpads were ruled by monarchs who were considered to be divine representatives by the people. They maintained armies and employed many people to do different kinds of work as official. Urbanization. This period was marked by major developments, which include the use of iron, paddy transplantation, the imposition of taxes, the growth of trade, and urban settlements, the growth of new skills and crafts, and the emergence of new religions and ideas. The development in agriculture and craft led to the emergence of trade towns, which were mainly located near rivers. Several important trade routes developed at this time, and some cities became important market centers. Agriculture. The new rulers started realizing the importance of agriculture. The discovery of and use of iron led to the clearing of forests for agriculture purposes. Farmers could now cultivate food crops better as the iron plough was more effective than the wooden one. As they no longer scattered seeds on the ground and waited for the seeds to sprout, they could directly plant saplings, ensuring that more plants survived this with eventually followed by the trade of the surplus production. Taxes. The rulers needed to pay salaries to the soldiers and officials. This meant they needed a large sum of money to come into regular intervals. Thus, the system of taxation was introduced. Resources collected through taxes were used to pay salaries to soldiers, to build forts, and carry out public welfare jobs. The rulers realized the importance of strong and powerful army to build a large empire. Money from taxes was used for the development of a strong army. The main tax was on agricultural produce, as agriculture was the main occupation of the people. Taxes were also imposed on craftsmen. They could have been collected in the form of labor. Herders were also expected to pay tax. They were perhaps paid in kind, usually in the form of animals and animal produce. Crafts. More and more people started practicing various crafts like pottery, carpentry, blacksmithing, and weaving. Many different types of pots were being excavated from the ruins of these ancient kingdoms. These stand as evidence to the skill that prevailed at that time. Monarchies and republics. Most of the Mahajanpat that existed during the period were monarchies. That is, they were ruled by kings or rajans, and the throne was hereditary. Hereditary means that anyone from their family could own the throne. The Rajan was revered by all, including the Brahmins. Means he was respected by all, including the Brahmins. Alongside these monarchies, there also existed the republics known as the Gana Sanghas. The term Gana Sangha is made up of two words, Gana, which means equal, and Sangha, which means governance. This was a political system in which the rulers or chief was elected. Hence, his position was not hereditary. These Gana Sanghas were generally spread out on the foothills of the Himalayas. They generally consisted of single clans such as the Shakyas, the Koliyas, and the Mallas. A famous Gana Sangha was the Licchavi clan and its capital at Vaishali. Mahavira, the founder of Jainism, belonged to this clan. Gautam Buddha, the founder of Buddhism, belonged to the Shakya clan of Kapilavastu. Sometimes the republic consists of a confederacy of clans such as the Vajis of Rijis and Vrishnis. We learn that these Mahajanpads from Buddhist and Jain texts, the Jataka tales, the Brahmanas, the Upanishads, and the epics, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, are all sources of information on the Mahajanpads. Okay, this is the end of this chapter. Now I will be soon showing you the chapter of geography.